Looks like the trees are starting to finally die off. Got some snow last week and I think it killed some of the trees, but kind of getting into that time of year where fishing's gonna pick up here soon. And I'm pretty excited to get out and do some fishing tonight. It's gonna be me solo and the dog. Georgia's back there, if you can see Georgia. Anyway, we are on the way to the best fast food restaurant when you're headed to the lake, Chick-fil-A. And then we're gonna go pick up the boat, load it up with some gear, and then we're gonna go hit Chatfield. But we're just gonna try to do a little bit of jigging raps maybe when we get there. And then towards the end of the night, we'll probably go into more trolling planer boards and lead core and stuff like that, trying to target fish that are suspended in the water column. So hopefully we'll do well today. Got a sweet new sticker on the back of the truck. Here it is, peeps. Ain't she pretty? And now we wait. Okay, so question. Do you guys think that Chick-fil-A's lemonade is too tart? I get a lot of people saying it's too sweet, but I think it's too tart. Tell you that hits your lips and it puckers up your behind a little bit. All right, guys, we made it out here. It's time to go fishing. Right. So let me explain a few things that we're going to be doing today. First off, as we pull off the dock here, I'm going to turn on my sonar and I'm going to start looking for just small pods of fish on structure. So that's kind of the first part of the game. The next part is that once you do find those small pods on some sort of structure, I'm going to drop down a jigging Rap. Ooh, there's a little hair right there. I'm going to drop down a jigging Rap right on top of them. Try to catch these fish and just put some bait right in their face. A lot of times the walleyes aren't going to be able to resist that bait just dangling right in front of their face, especially right now as the water temperatures are getting colder. So yeah, we have 60, ooh, that sun is gnarly. Let me get out of that sun. So we have 61.6 degree water right near the dock. So it's probably a little colder, obviously, in those deeper areas. Sorry, I'm gonna try to block the sun here. So yeah. Is that better? Does that work? So we are gonna head out, try to find some colder water, some structure, try to find these fish and drop some jigging Raps down to them as soon as we see them on the graph. And then after we do that for a little while, we'll probably switch it up and we will start trolling either planer boards or some lead core, try to catch those fish in a little bit deeper water. Maybe they're a little more hungry in those suspended areas. And then we might, depending on how cold it gets, we might end up cruising around and casting some shoreline. This is the time when you're gonna catch big fish, and if you don't put in the time on the water, you're probably gonna have limited success. It is that one time that you're out here, that you're casting that lure you're confident in, and you just get blown up and you know it's a huge fish that will keep you coming back. Get out here and you keep trying to, you know, hit or miss a bite, you know. Oh, I went last Wednesday, so it's not gonna be good for 3 days, so I'll go on Monday. You know, if that's all the time you have, that's great, but you really want to try to get out as much as possible because it's that one night you weren't thinking was going to be good that turns out to be epic. And I'm telling you, when you find the fish and they're on that structure, you're casting the right stuff, it is cast after cast after cast fish. Usually you can find out what sizes are nearby by the sizes you're catching. If you're catching 18-inch fish, you're probably going to catch more 18-inch fish. If you're catching 7 to 11 and you want to go upsize, move spots. We are basically just cruising a little kind of a road out here. Right now I'm in 29 feet of water and I'm going to try and get back over it. This is a spot where we consistently caught fish over the summer. This is a spot where we know fish hang out on bottom, and as soon as I got here I started marking fish, which is always a good sign. But we're just trying to mark a few fish that are on bottom. If they're not on bottom, what I want you to pay attention to are marks like this, where you got a really big mark. That could be a big fish just hovering kind of there. There's another one kind of on bottom. So you want to pay attention to the depth level these fish are at. The closer and more accurate you are to the depth level before nightfall, the better it's going to be when you get to that spot and you need to drop a lure in front of their face. Right now I'm marking a lot of stuff right at 15 feet. There's a few on the bottom, which is good too, but a lot that I'm seeing is right at 15 feet. So the best bet probably right now is gonna be maybe try to target some of these fish right on bottom, and then after that, we can go back through and we can target these suspended fish at the 15-foot depth. We'll just try to get our crankbaits down to them and vary the levels of the crankbaits until we can find that sweet spot. So again, 19.4 feet of water, seeing a lot of fish hanging out in 10 to 15 feet of water, a few on bottom, but not a ton. So nothing to get super excited about. We may end up, depending on what we see on the graph in the next couple minutes, we may end up going straight to a troll. Okay guys, I'm gonna show you what I was just doing there. I found some fish and I decided to stop and try to fish them for a second. There's about 6 fish just sitting all huddled together. So I'm doing the same thing. I've got my motor on as low as it'll pretty much go, and I'm driving around looking for these fish. As soon as I mark a cluster of fish like that, I'm immediately stopping, picking it in reverse, and I've got my finger right on the trigger. I don't even have the bail closed right now, and that's so that if I see fish, I can drop down immediately to them and make it worthwhile. There they are again. Guys, so what's happening now is I found a spot that I think is worthwhile to fish. I've marked enough here to think that there should be some fish that are actively feeding. So what I've done is I moved to the front of the boat. I have tied on, I can show you here, I've tied on a Jigging Rap. This is a perch color Jigging Rap, and I'm just gonna kind of cycle through colors. They're here, so let's see if we can get something to bite. Okay. So, not having any luck on that, so we're switching to this. It's a UV colored, it's got pink, chartreuse, and orange on it. This should be a little bit more visible. The lake's kind of going up in water level, which means that, you know, there's a lot more debris in the water as well to contend with. So hopefully they can see this a little bit better. Let's give that a shot. Okay guys, this is gonna be interesting. I got into my first fish here. Feels like a decent one. And it's on this Jigging Rap. He's staying down. The other thing is, I've made this mistake too many times. I don't have my net, and he feels like a better fish. I'm just barely hooked. Barely hooked. Let's see if I can get him in here. Yes. Nice. Sweet, guys. There's that fish, and he's got that Jigging Rap. Here's that walleye. We're gonna let him go. All right, he went back down. Sweet, so we found a spot and they liked that brighter color, so now we just gotta keep it going. And I figured out that ripping it to the side kind of fast is what he picked that one up on. All right, as you can probably see, the sun's set here at Chatfield. It is 6:18. This is really the most critical time to be fishing because this is when the light changes very drastically in a short amount of time. So the fish are gonna be feeding right now. And what I've done is kind of drawn a little bit of a square around this pit, and there's weeds on the edges, and I just kind of went around looking for fish or good marks within the area. And I just marked about 5 yellow marks here, and the bottom contour on my graph is yellow. So those yellow marks are gonna mean probably a bigger fish or a better fish. So I'm gonna stop here, cast around a little bit, see if I can pick off some of these fish. We're in about 5 feet of water, but we're right next to a deeper spot. So this could be a good place to go. So we're gonna have at it. So right now I'm casting into 4 feet, 5 feet, and then as soon as my bait hits the water, I kind of give it a little pop back. That gets the balls in the bait. If you're using a suspending bait or something similar, it gets the little bearings in the bait forward so that they kind of fall to the nose of the bait and to keep the bait diving. If you're using a floating bait, you don't need to worry about that. When you're a bad dog dad, you give your dog a surprise. Here you go, George. Well, I figure now is about as good as time as any. Get this little kicker motor going and start trolling some boards. Show you guys a little nifty trick to rigging these planer boards here. Reflective tape. Makes it really hard to see a planer board at night if you don't have some sort of light. So what I do, what a lot of guys do, to keep the board's weight still accurate, is just cut off a little piece of this reflective tape and stick it to that flag. You don't want a ton, and you don't need to do it to both sides. So you just take your planer board here, figure out kind of what the length is that you need to cut. So I'll just say there, and do the other side, about there, okay? You go ahead and you chop her up. So there's your flag. Now watch. Ooh, nice. At night it works even better. Alright guys, I have to apologize, it's getting quite dark out here, but we did just land our first fish on a lead core rod. Big fat walleye. He's going about 19 inches right now. So we have still got poles in the water. We're gonna try to pick up some more fish. But there's the first one of the night, boys and girls. Well guys, that's all she wrote for tonight. Caught 2 fish, one on the Jigging Rap, one on the Salmo Hornet. And yeah, had a good night. Could have been better, could have caught more fish. Definitely marked a lot, but wasn't able to capitalize on those fish. So we'll get out here and try it again. Hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Make sure you guys are getting out there, fishing at night. This is a great time to be fishing. And before you leave, don't forget, subscribe, like, comment. We're gonna do future giveaways, and that T-Rex video is coming up super soon. See you later. Thanks for checking out the channel. Before you go ahead and click this button on the right to subscribe and help us reach our goal of 10,000 subs. You'll have access to all my subscriber giveaways, and I try to post replies to all the comments below my videos. Thanks so much for watching Seal Fish Bro, and we'll see you next time.